So hey YouTube, we decided to go camping out on the property again, and when you've got your significant other who's not quite as into camping as you are, it's good to thrive and not just survive. So we talked about meal choices. She half jokingly said something about making lasagna because we very rarely eat lasagna and she loves it. And I took up that challenge. So I found this recipe online. I'll leave a link below, as well as links to some of the things that I use. I don't endorse any products, but anything similar will work just as well for you. And we had a fantastic time. Please watch to the end of the video if you're interested in this recipe, because I'll talk about some lessons learned and things we would change next time. But overall, it went really well. So thank you for watching. So we're doing Dutch oven lasagna over the fire tonight. It's a little bit windy out here today. We got 33-mile-an-hour gusts. Sustained winds about 25. So I got the Jeep parked here to block a little bit of the wind. Might be a little difficult to get this thing cooked, but we're going to do the Dutch oven, so we got to get a good bed of coals going. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. I've got some charcoal that I'm going to use to actually put on the top of it, because you put the charcoal on the top of the lid to create that oven effect and get the heat coming downward from the top. So we'll give it a shot. As you can see here, the gust of wind almost got me. Didn't melt the camera, but as you can see here, we've got a nice fire going. The wind makes it a little bit challenging, but in some ways it helped because it stoked the fire up. We've got to burn this down until we've got a solid bed of coals. The height of the fire doesn't really matter because I'm using the tripod, but you want to have a good solid bed of coals to have even heat. So we just continue to burn that down. While we're waiting on the fire to burn down to coals, we're going to go ahead and start doing the rest of the recipe. So we need so this recipe, by the way, is from freshoffthegrid.com. It's Dutch oven lasagna, and it takes, according to their information, about 10 minutes to prep and 30 minutes to cook, but roughly they figure an hour to take and get wood down to a bed of coals, and about 20 minutes on the charcoal. So once I get my coals pretty close to being ready, I'll put some charcoal over there and let it get good and hot. The charcoal gives you a little bit better consistent heat across the top of the lid. So for the ricotta, you mix it up, and they want about a quarter cup of the flat leaf parsley. So I utilize this knife set and these flexible cutting boards. They're dedicated for my camping stuff. They work great. The knives are fantastic, I guess. I don't really care. It's a kitchen knife, but the flexible cutting boards are fantastic. I've got 3 of them. They lay super flat, take up no space, no weight, and they work great as cutting boards. limited bowls out at camp, they want the egg beaten pretty well, so I'm going to put it in this bowl to do it. So, 1 egg scrambled. Get that parsley back in there. So I want 15 ounces of the ricotta cheese. This container is a 32, so a little less than half of the container. Good. And then you put in Italian seasoning, about a tablespoon. And about half a teaspoon of sea salt. And then mix it all together. Alright, and we'll let that sit until we're ready to do this thing. So while we're waiting for the coals to get perfect, you got to do your sausage ahead of time. Now we're doing Italian sausage, both spicy and a mild, and you cook that in olive oil. One of the nice things about this tripod is that you don't have to have an even bed of distributed coals. You can just adjust your height of the chain and make it work. So we'll get that sausage cooked up. So I got these heat resistant gloves. They come in real handy for this kind of stuff. And I did forget my lid lifter. I can get away without it, but I'm going to have to be really careful when the top of the pan has holes on it. So we're getting the sausage all browned up evenly, but And I'll put a link to the recipe in the description of the video, but you need 14 ounces of sausage and 15 ounces of ricotta cheese, 1 egg, a 1/4 cup of flat leaf parsley chopped, 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning, a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, a tablespoon of olive oil, and that's just to cook the sausage in, 25 ounces of pasta sauce, 9 ounces of oven-ready lasagna noodles, and then a 1.5 cups of Italian cheese blend. We'll break that up into small pieces now that it's getting crumbly. That sausage, so we'll just set that aside in the bowl until we're ready. Take the tripod away so it doesn't get overly hot. I find that tongs work great for dealing with these cats. So now we can start, we're getting the bed of coals and the charcoal briquettes going, but now we have a chance to go ahead and get this done prior to the coals being ready. So we're going to go ahead and start layering the lasagna. So we've got our sausage and our ricotta cheese, and we've got our sauce, and I've got some olive oil. So for the first layer, a little olive oil, and then you're going to put some sauce in there, and you do about 1/2 cup. That looks good. And then you can take your oven ready noodles and you can break them if you need to conform to the shape of the Dutch oven. So I think that looks pretty good. So now we're going to take and we're going to do some more marinara, another 1/2 cup. And then we're going to do our ricotta mixture, and you do about 1/2 of this, and then you do the 1/2 of the sausage. So it looks like about half of it. And then we do half of our brown sausage. So now we're going to layer our noodles again. I think that looks good. Now we're going to put marinara, the rest of the ricotta, and the sausage. And the rest of the sausage. Now we do one more layer of the noodles. And we use the remainder of our marinara sauce. so it's well coated. And now we're going to add the cheese. So we've got Parmesan, Romano, and Lasagna cheese. That should be about right. So now we'll wait for the coals to get ready. As you can see, we've good timing on that. Those charcoal briquettes are looking pretty ready. Good bed of embers. Time to put this on. Adjust my chain down just a little bit. You don't want this to be too hot because you don't want to burn the bottom of it. The chain is kind of nice because I can adjust how high it sits up and adjust that temperature, and then I'll put the charcoal briquettes on the top of the Dutch oven. So here is the Dutch oven. That might be down a little too far. I'm guessing that will probably be good. And then we're going to put the charcoal briquettes on top of the lid, and then we want to turn the lid occasionally. And one of the things without the lid lifter, it's going to make it more challenging. You've also got to be careful as you check it, because you're looking for the cheese to be good brown melted on the top, and so you need to check it occasionally. It should take about 30 minutes, but you want to make sure you don't get ash down inside. It's going to kill you. Last time I did the pizzas in this thing, I'm sure I ate a little wood ash. Not a big deal, but want them evenly across the top.
Oh my gosh, that was almost amazing.
All right, so we're going to let it sit here. We'll rotate the lid occasionally to make sure we get even heating, and then it'll take about 30 minutes. I'll probably try to check it a little bit before that time frame just to make sure I don't overcook it. It's not an exact science when you're using a fire, so I've had some interesting, I burnt the hell out of a pizza one day. So we'll check it in 30 minutes. Ooh.
That looks bubbly.
So that is 30 minutes.
And no ashes.
That's my lasagna. I didn't get any ashes in it. So that looks really good. Okay, So let me get that thing off. So that was exactly 30 minutes with about 4 inches between the bottom of the Dutch oven and the coals, and then a good layer of briquettes on top. And I think that was perfect, and that's exactly what the recipe called for. So let's go ahead and get it cooled down a bit, and we'll dish it up, and then we'll tell you how it is. All right, moment of truth. The noodles seem to be cooked. Spatula goes right through. Doesn't appear to be burnt on the bottom. Looks like a success. Yum. It appears that the noodles are perfectly cooked. Very tasty. All right, I'm going to call that recipe a keeper. So there you have it. Fantastic recipe. We really enjoyed it. This was a lot of food. It was enough to feed us that night, and we had 2 more meals on it left over at home. It's fantastic. Everything did not go perfectly, as I kind of alluded to in the lead-in, but it went really well. So one of the things that I did, and I knew going in that this recipe was designed for a 4-quart Dutch oven. I've got a 10-quart Dutch oven. So I didn't want to make a lot more because it's already a lot of food, and it's hard to deal with leftovers when you're out in the boondocks, unless you really want to wake up and find a raccoon munching on your leftover lasagna, or worse yet, a bear. So I didn't want to double the recipe. I went ahead and used my 10-quart, but that probably wasn't the best idea, but it turned out okay, trust me. So a little bit more sauce on the bottom would have prevented this, but I did get it a little hot on the bottom, and I did have a couple of noodles more toward the middle that got a little on the burn side. Not a big deal. Picked through those, threw them out, and it was all good. But if I'd used the 4-quart Dutch oven instead, I probably would have had more sauce on the bottom anyway. So there you go. And I've since ordered a 4-quart Dutch oven that I'll use for these types of meals in the future. The other thing that we both agreed on was that we would have preferred to have, in addition to the 3-cheese Italian, we would have liked to have a little bit of mozzarella on the top. It would have made it a little bit more gooey. And with that Italian 3-cheese mix, it was a little bit more baked on the cheese, less gooey. So we probably would, especially for the top of it, because everything was cooked really well, we'd probably take it off at about 25 minutes instead of 30 minutes. And I think it would have been a little bit gooier, especially if we had the mozzarella to it. So I think those are the big lessons learned. But this was a fantastic recipe, and trust me, we both really, really enjoyed this. This was super good food. So if you have an opportunity to get out there camping, I recommend that you do so. And if you're into lasagna, give this recipe a try. I don't think you'll regret it. Thanks for watching.